today we've been talking about moving on from an ex is finding closure, a necessity to move on from an ex. And so far, Mark, David, John, you guys have been saying, oh, some of you said, oh, I'll just move on. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to find answers to. As another person says, oh, I would find these answers to the ends of the earth. You see, you must tell me the reason why you actually flew to UK with another babe without me. You must explain to me. I have to know the reason why. What table do you stand on? Are you the team find answers to this, or to this person who has from this person who has completely disappeared or just walked away from you or relocated to another country without telling you, and you're supposed to be in a relationship with them? Or would you just move on and just pretend like nothing happened and just walk away? That's what I'm asking today. If you have thoughts and questions and opinions, feel free to join the conversation. Call in on 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. This is Deep Waters with Debrah Waters, Deep Waters _ podcast on Instagram. Please do well to follow us right now. Open your Instagram right now and type Deep Waters _ podcast and follow us immediately, to be a part of the Deep Waters community. I can see these calls coming in already. I know today's topic is a hot one, but as always, I have a special guest with me in the studio. He's a relationship, a self-discovery coach, an author, an entrepreneur. He is the founder of the Blissful Relationships and Marriages, an interdenominational outfit helping people build godly and right emotional relationships. And most importantly, he helps people discover their life purposes. Ladies and gentlemen, I have with me a relationship coach, self-discovery coach, Kingsley Maduba, aka Kingsley Speaks.
Yep.
What does Kingsley speak about?
I'm always speaking about relationships and self-discovery.
Kingsley is talking.
Yeah.
All right, good to have you on the show.
Thank you, Debrah.
Okay, so closure. I know we basically understand like what it means, but from a professional perspective, what's closure, and is it helpful or harmful to seek for closure?
Okay, basically, closure is seeking meaning of an experience, seeking to understand.
Come to this your definition. You aspire to require definitions.
No, don't worry, I'll make it easy.
Please help us here.
Okay, closure is seeking meaning, seeking explanation, like you trying to get a clearer picture of what just happened, especially in this context of a broken relationship. So when a relationship ends and you're seeking closure, what you're trying to do is you want to get meaning, you want to be clear on what just happened. And so when people seek closure, all they just want to do is they want their ex or someone who just broke up with them to tell them, what did I do? Why did you have to break up with me? I saw the story you just posted now on your status. Mm-hmm. That kind of story, the lady just walked away. She didn't seek closure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so closure is like you wanting to know what happened, why it happened, and what really transpired that made it happen.
Interesting. In what situations is it just in relationships that we can seek closure? In what situations can we seek for closure?
Well, human relationships in general, sometimes we unknowingly to us, sometimes we seek closure from people. And for one or two reasons, it's because you want to be clear on what happened. Do you understand? For example, if you were jilted by someone you had a business transaction with, and the guy fled with your money, or the lady fled with your money, you're trying to reach out to that person. It's like you're trying to seek closure. What happened? Why did you have to? Or maybe it's someone you know. That's also closure. You're trying to get explanation and meaning of what happened. So that's closure. So it can happen in every other area.
Okay, it's like, for example, somebody was mentioning like, oh, if they sack you from a job, for example, and you are trying to seek closure, they go just use a police carry you come out from there.
You don't seek closure in this our climb. Like if you're fired, just take your bag and go home.
Really?
Go and start a side job. You don't seek closure and stuff like that.
Are you serious?
Because the point is, when you seek closure, you're seeking meaning of a particular experience. Mm-hmm. You have to be ready for the feedback.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to be ready for whatever you get.
The shocker.
And
you have to have shock absorber.
You have to have a serious shock absorber. Like sometimes when you get to that point where the person tells you like, okay, this is why I broke up with you, this is why I did this, it might even hurt you more. So it would have been better you walked away than. Don't worry, we'll get to that point. Let's just continue.
No. Are you saying that when people hurt us and just treat us like a trash and bag of garbage, that we should just take our L and go?
Well, not in all situations. I understand what you're saying. There are specific situations where you can actually seek closure, because not everyone can handle it. Not every other party in quotes can actually give you closure in the sense that you're going to understand. Some persons feel they don't owe you anything. Like in a relationship setting, for example, you would notice that there are some people who are not accountable. Like they never believe that they should be accountable. Like, you know that you're dating this guy, but this guy is not accountable in any way. Like, he does his things anyhow. If someone like that should break up with you, don't expect closure. In fact, I'm going to share a story with you. In fact, if you're seeking closure from someone like that, he's going to hurt you the more with his actions. All he was supposed to do was to tell you why he broke up with you. But because he has never understood what it means to be accountable to someone, he's going to be using ways and means to get back at you. So instead of you seeking closure from someone like that that is not mature enough to be accountable for his actions, it's best you walk away because you know him.
Okay. Well, what situations? Well, I don't completely agree with that, because I feel like human beings seek for answers, and sometimes it's easier to seek for them and receive answers. Okay. And I know that sometimes it's not, you can't always get the answers you want. Sometimes the answers are shockers.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but you are saying as a coach now that there are some situations that we should seek for closure. There are some situations that we should walk away. And you've given us for a job stacking example now.
Especially in Nigeria.
In Nigeria. Nobody seeking for closure. Well, we've had people, maybe not in Nigeria, that have, maybe it's not sought for closure, but that fought back at a particular organization and maybe took them to court for sacking them or something and won the case. With that aside. So in what situation should we be seeking for closure? How do you know that, in this situation, this is a situation where I will seek for closure and find it? Or this is where I have to walk away?
Okay, good. Now I'm going to share an experience with you I had. Many years ago, I was in a relationship. I was not really as mature in this relationship thing many years ago.
Okay.
Now, while I was coming down here, I remember that experience and I was like, okay, this is going to be a good example. Now, while we were in that relationship, everything was going smooth up until I noticed that some things started happening. I was like observing some actions and I was like, okay, what is really happening? Silence, ghosting once in a while, not giving me the kind of excuses I need to be sure that something is wrong, just trying to make things look good when things are not really good. Eventually, I found out the problem, and the problem was not from me. The problem was from her.
In other words, you were seeking for answers.
I was seeking for answers. Now, eventually, I discovered that it's not from me, it's from her. But I made a mistake. My mistake was that I knew that the problem was not from me. It was from her, but I was still seeking closure. Now, closure is like you are seeing a picture, but in your brain, there's another interpretation of the picture. For example, when a divorce happens between married couples, it is sometimes difficult for some to move on because there's a picture in their head. Obviously, you want to be with your partner, but the immediate and sudden breakup kind of hurts you so much that you're like, what really happened? Now, in times like this, if the other party, like I said, knows that he's at fault, let me use the man as an example. He's at fault. He's been cheating, but because he knows that this woman is not able to make decisions for herself, so he keeps on cheating. He keeps on bringing women into the house. She's seeking closure. She's seen what he's doing. Instead of her to walk away, because he's not going to give her the closure she needs, instead of her to walk away, she's stuck there. He's bringing women into the house. She's been offended. She's been hurt the more. Her wounds
are... She's still trying to find answers.
She's still trying to find... Obvious. Now, the point I'm trying to make is, when someone is wrong, when the opposite sex is wrong, when the other party is wrong, and you're trying to seek closure, you're going to be hurting yourself the more. Because you know that you are not the one at fault. So take a walk. I don't know if you get.
Yes.
Like, you've been faithful, you've been everything, and this guy cheated on you. So why are you seeking closure? Especially because he's not going to be accountable, and he's like, he's not giving you any reason why he cheated on you. And you're like, but I was there for you, I did everything for you, and it's like, it's not you, it's me. Then why are you seeking closure? Do you understand?
Yes.
Like, when there is a reality before you, take that reality for what it is. and move on, because the more you seek closure, the more you hurt yourself.
So in the other way around, maybe when you are fault or something, what happens then?
Okay, the other way around, when you're at fault, I think you might, like I said, okay, when we were talking outside, like you said, let's not talk too much, so we don't think. Now, one of the things we said outside was that when you are at fault, you know you are at fault. Now, it takes a lot of maturity. Closure demands maturity. You have to be very mature, because you cannot stand before someone. It's quite difficult for you to stand before someone. The person keeps telling you like things like, "You're not good. You were not good enough for me. You are not there for me. You always wanted me to be there for you, but you were always absent for me. Like, you were emotionally absent. You were."
That's heartbreaking.
Now, getting to hear these things alone, like, if you are not careful, it's going to break you the more. That's why I said closure demands maturity. So when you are not wrong, rather when you are wrong and you are seeking closure, you have to be ready to accept the feedback. I mean, if the guy loves you so much, he will tell you things like, "You were not good for me. I loved you, but you were not good for me. I tried my best to love you, but you were not good for me." Now, "you were not good for me" can become a memory that would haunt you in the future. Because it's like, it's coming from someone who loves you, and you know this guy loves you, but because maybe you're coming from a past where you've had traumatic experiences and you could not handle a good relationship because of your past experiences, it's going to be difficult for you to move on without having those voices in your head. So sometimes, before you seek closure, ask yourself, it will. Words have done more damage to people than any other thing. If someone should tell you you are not beautiful, it's not going to make sense then. You might fight back, the fight mode. You might react. But when you get home and you're on your own, those voices begin to play in your head.
But those are the negative things. What about if the person is right and you're willing to work on yourself? Because by the time you start saying, "I'm scared of what they will tell me, I'm scared of closure," then you don't even know what you did wrong. You don't learn from it. Your next relationship will not even do better, or might not do better.
Yeah. If you're willing, no, obviously, if you're willing to work on it, and that's fine. If you're seeking closure because you know that, okay, you didn't do well in the relationship, and you're like, "Okay, please, let's say it's a guy to a girl relationship, like you to a guy, and you're like, "Henry, could you please tell me what I did wrong? I would love to have a honest evaluation on myself to work better on my next relationship." And it's like, "Okay, I'll tell you." And he's trying so hard to make it easy for you to understand. He's trying to give you soft landing, but he's giving you the bass boost, you understand? Yeah. Now, you definitely have to accept that and go and work on yourself. But not everyone would want a comeback, because putting in that energy again might be draining.
It is draining. This is Deep Waters with Debrah Waters, and I'm still right here with our relationship and self-discovery coach Kingsley Madugba, helping us understand the topic of the day. Moving on from an ex, is finding closure a necessity? If you have a personal experience, thoughts and questions for our special guest, and you want to join the conversation, you just have something to say or something to add, feel free to join the conversation calling on 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. This is Deep Waters with Debrah Waters, and we love to have deep, meaningful conversation. So, Mr. Kingsley, in a situation where the person is not willing to talk to you or give you closure, or blocks you on social media, or just like the situation of the story, just disappears and goes to the UK, even though if you want to talk to them, you can't. You are seeking closure, they don't want to give it to you. They don't want to give you no answers. In that situation, can you find closure by yourself, for yourself, in your own space?
Yeah, actually, closure comes in two forms. Okay. There's internal closure and there's external closure.
All right.
Now, internal closure is where you get to the point where you agree with yourself and then you move on. External closure is seeking closure from the other party. For example, I remember many years ago, I had an experience also. I was with a lady then. We're just friends, very good friends. And at some point, we started a relationship. This was like 15 to 20 years ago. But at that point, one was not really mature to handle some things. Now, I noticed that at some point, something happened. There was a ghosting. Like, you could see that this ghosting is just so loud. Now, I was seeking closure. I couldn't get the closure. It was later I discovered that she got pregnant. We went for a program, and in the space of that time where we could not see ourselves because we were living apart, she got pregnant and eventually got married to this guy. Now, my problem was not that you got pregnant. My problem was that at least you should have told me. Now, because you didn't tell me, you made me feel like I was the problem. Now, that's the problem with this thing called closure. When people don't give you closure, you tend to think that you are the problem. Now, if someone decides to block you, there are some people that you go into a relationship with, you did everything good for them, but they have a way, they know how to make you always look like you are the problem. Now, if someone like this decides to block you, travel to the UK, changes their number or something, you have to now seek internal closure. Now, it has to come from you.
How?
And it takes a whole lot of work. Like, you have to work on yourself, because this thing is about memory, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Like, you have to keep every day, you have to keep seeking internal closure.
Wow. So is seeking closure, is it a one-time thing, or is it, when you say every day, is it a continuous thing?
Yes, it's a continuous thing. If not, it's going to mess with your next relationships. A lot of people have gotten to this point where their lack of their inability to seek internal closure has affected prospects around them. And you know the way this thing works. When a man comes to you, a man can actually perceive if you are receptive. So he knows, okay, Debrah is interested, she's not interested. It's a very simple thing.
Sure.
But because this lady has not sought internal closure, she is repelling.
Oh, that hurts. How does that sound familiar?
Boss.
Sounds very familiar. So now let's talk about from the perspective of the person who does the walking away. Could it also be that, I can imagine you as a guy, you get babe, you date to babe, you can't choose one, say one person will get hurt at the end of the day, and then you walk away with one, and then you leave the other. And like the situation of your story now, the lady got pregnant, and she just couldn't bring herself maybe to just tell you.
Yeah.
As easy as it says, you can say, just tell me, just explain to me. I will take it. I'm a shock absorber. I can take this shock. From the perspective of the person doing the walking away, it can also be a hard pill to swallow, a hard thing to say. Because how do you call me and start to tell me I get belle for another man, but we are like, how you won't even start the explanation? So what is running through are they validated? Can they be overlooked because of the difficulty of the situation? But before that, let's take another caller. Hello. Oh, I lost that call. The number to call is 0705-993-6937 or 0705-993-7937. This is Deepwaters _podcast on Instagram. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, it's my colleague.
Thanks for calling, Mark.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I have to go and buy cards.
Oh my. That's so touching. Thank you so much, Mark.
All right. Okay. So what I'm trying to say, seeking for closure, whether you are at fault or you're not at fault, it is very, very important. I'm not saying it is not important, but depending on the situation, you understand. Depending on the situation, there are some situations that will come. You understand. You don't need to even seek for closure, because the more, like I said before, the more the
less you see
for the truth, the scenario, the less you see. You understand? Like in the place of work. Well, in terms of relationship, it is important that you seek for closure.
Really?
Because, it is important that you seek for closure, whether you are at fault or not. If you are at fault, when you seek for closure and you now find some criticism from your partner, you need to accept that criticism. You understand? You need to accept it. Accept you're wrong. And there's one thing that I feel that is good for you to know. You understand? To accept that criticism. You understand? Because you're at fault. To make you discover yourself who you really are. Because sometimes, in some cases, you don't know you're wrong. There are some people that will do something wrong. You understand? They will not know. You understand?
Yes.
They don't have that conscience to know that they have done something wrong. You understand?
Yes.
That they're false. They don't have that conscience. Except there are like two or more witnesses. You understand? That your partner will bring to testify to you that you now agree or nod your head over it. You understand? Say, okay, this is my fault. This is my fault.
Mark, you seem to have a lot of understanding on this topic, closure, though. Have you have you been dealing with a lot of closures?
Yes. Of course. Now I'm facing these things many times.
Yeah. So people just walk away from you, or you walk away from them?
People walk away from me. Me too. I walk away too. I do the same. You understand? Okay. I do the same. Because there are some situations that will come. You understand? I will see something like this. I wouldn't want to even seek for closure. I will just walk away.
Interesting.
You understand?
Yes.
Because I know it's not my fault. I didn't do anything wrong, but this just happened. So I feel that if I should just try to seek for closure, like to seek for the scenario of the issue, why that person or why that thing should just disagree with me. I find it very difficult to get the truth. Most times I don't see the truth. I don't see the point. You understand? It's just like they're hiding it. They'll be hiding it. They won't want to tell you the truth.
Well said. Well said, Mark.
When someone has disagreed with you or something disagree with you completely, I hardly see the truth.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Mark. It's working very well. Mark, we finished Mark airtime, and Mark actually went out to buy card and say, I'm still going to call back on deep waters. All right, so thoughts on that? I think he basically said everything you've been saying so far.
Yeah, he kind of summarized it.
Yes, basically. So now, I was saying from the perspective of the person who does the walking away, okay, some shells are very, some things are hard to say.
Yeah.
And trust me personally too, some guys, I'm not a saint in this, some guys will come to you and maybe you say, let's see how it goes. And then from how you see how it goes, the guy catches feeling. Then you get to a point and say, it's time for me to walk away. I'm not feeling this thing. And then you don't even know how to say it because you just don't want to hurt them, or you don't want them to say, oh, why do you now, I will say, I was trying to see if maybe something would come out of it. So in that situation where you cannot, you just feel like it's easier to just ghost them than say it. Is the action validated, or how better can we treat that situation?
Well, the idea of ghosting is that it creates when you ghost someone, you have created you have scattered the person's head, like you have set disorder in that person's head, like you've made that person to start asking himself questions like, why did she ghost me? Was I not good enough? And stuff like that. So if you notice that, okay, this person is not the type of person you want, yes, he's a nice guy, but he's not, I don't really want this relationship. The best thing to do is not to ghost that person. The best thing to do is not to block that person. No. And the best thing to do is not to continue the conversation. Some people, they are scared of rejecting people, so they keep dragging on up until the guy catches feelings. And at some point, he's expecting a return. I want you for a partner. What are you saying? So like I said, the best thing is not to ghost. The best thing is not to block. The best thing is not to continue. The best thing is to say it the way it is, as best as you can. You tell this person, I'm sorry, I'm not ready for this. That's it.
But what if they don't accept and they just keep pressing on?
Yes, there are guys like that. They feel that pressing on can actually change your mind, as it has done for some other ladies in the past. But you have done what you should do. You let them know that this is what it is for me. Communicate this thing because if you ghost the person, it's just like you. If a guy decides to ghost you all of a sudden, thoughts will start going on in your head. You start thinking about yourself in a weird way. Like you start checking yourself. In fact, you might ask your friend, wait, am I doing anything wrong that I'm not seeing? You start looking for checkers around you. So the best thing is to try and communicate to this person in the best way that you can and tell the person that I'm sorry, but we have to move on.
Interesting. Well said. And finally, before we go, I want to know, you said you can find internal closure and external closure. External closure is the one you seek from outside.
Yeah.
You seek it to get it. They give it to you. And then internal closure is the one that you probably find by yourself. So for somebody who is, going through, a breakup right now, or some friendship breakup, marital breakup or whatever, and just cannot, the other party is not giving them, they can't get external closure, all they're left is with internal closure. How can they go about it?
Well, in seeking internal closure, it's just like you getting to the point where, because after the breakup or the divorce, and the other party is not giving you the closure you deserve, you are going to be getting feedbacks. You're going to be getting feedbacks in the sense that you're going to be feeling, there are some emotions that would come to you, like, I am not enough. The feeling of I am not enough, I'm not good enough, it start affecting your self-esteem. It start affecting your self-image, your perception of yourself. Because the truth is, it is normal for us to feel happy when you're in a relationship. Like, you're happy when you're, in fact, your relationship would actually help you to become happier. I know that people have actually said that bring your own happiness into the relationship. But the truth is, if you are in a beautiful relationship, it's going to affect you positively. Now, the reverse of it is that if that relationship should end, it is going to affect you negatively. So if you've had this boost of esteem, it is going to decline a bit. Now, you have to start from the bottom part and start working on yourself, because your self-esteem was not designed to depend on anything. So if they take away everything from you, you should still be able to feel
Worthy.
like Debrah, worthy of yourself.
Worthy of love, worthy
everything.
of everything.
You deserve everything. Your phone is taking your house, everything. If you were left with just your clothes on you, you should be able to get to that point and say, I am worthy of everything. That is the point. It's because in these times, we attach our self-esteem to material things. And that is why when those things are taken away, it affects us.
Yes.
And that's why, I don't know who posted something and I commented. They posted Funke Akindele, that after how many divorces, she is doing well. And I said, this woman deserves to be studied. Like, you could see how well she's doing for herself. Now, there are people who have had less similar, but their life crumbled. That is because at some point in her life, I believe that she did not attach her worthiness to marriage. Beautiful. Do you understand? And that's why she's able to pick herself from everything that happened and become the best in her field. So we must learn not to attach ourselves to anything external, because
nothing,
human,
no situation,
nothing,
no marriage, no relationship.
Nothing. Yes,
you have to be
you
enough first.
Be you. Yes, if it comes, it comes. But if it goes, it goes.
What if you have bad behavior? So with your self-esteem, you should have the bad behavior.
If you have bad,
I'm a baboon. I live in this
God. No, that one is actually a problem that you need to work on, because if you notice that people are
using bad behavior to cover self-esteem to cover bad behavior.
Yes,
now you use self-worth and worthy. Your entitlement syndrome to cover bad behavior.
There is a thin line between self-esteem and pride. So one can actually tilt to the other extreme, and then it's pride. It's no longer feeling. Somebody can walk into this room now, and the person she has a healthy self-esteem, but some other person can walk into this room and you could just see pride, because there's a thin line between feeling worthy and feeling proud. But if someone has bad character and people are walking away from you, it is not the fault of people. You now have to sit down, look yourself in the mirror, and ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? Ask those around you, what am I doing wrong? I need help.
Interesting. We need help, and we have found help from Kingsley Madugba, a relationship and self-discovery coach. Thank you so much for sharing such an insightful show with me, Debrah Waters. How can people find you on social media, though?
I'm on Instagram as Kingsley Speaks. Kingsley, Kingley, Speaks, Speaks. And on Facebook, you would see me on, my handle is Kingsley Madugba, my full name. You could also get me on Threads as Kingsley Speaks.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Kingsley Madugba. It has been an insightful conversation. To all those who called and was being a part of the conversation, thank you so much. Please do well to follow at deepwaters_podcast on Instagram to be a part of the Deep Waters community. We always love to talk about deep, meaningful things, have conversations that, are scratching beyond the surface and just getting deeper into our soul. I'll be back again on Friday at 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. for another amazing show for you. So make sure you're following us on Instagram and make sure you join me on Friday. From myself and Kingsley Speaks.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. And bye-bye.
There's so many young guys out there that will not be caught dead paying bills for anybody.
To be with someone that teaches you how to love yourself.
Any change that anybody did not do before marrying you,
Don't expect that.
When I talk things to you, I cry. Just tell me line break.